Creaking, and we are live with another episode of BS Busters. And it's been a while. Not really. We had one yesterday, like a little mini cast, if you will. But this is the official BS Busters, and today we're talking about a few things, some of which are actually pretty damn cool. Others, maybe not so much. So I guess first we should talk about, well, before we get any further, have everyone introduce themselves. Joel, you want to go first? Okay, Pinky, you want to go first?
Hello, this is Pinky Dog from Video Game Facts. Let's get this started already.
All right. And of course, it's me, Mr. Red Fox, owner and proprietor of BS Busters. Ha 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 ha. So let's get into it. So I guess the first thing we have to go with is,
some video game news from Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft.
Yes. Video game news from Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. Let's get Nintendo out of the way first. Nintendo had their end of their fiscal year financial reports. Their fiscal year ends in March, or is it May? March, April? No, into March. No, March, April, May. Yeah, the end of May. But this is kind of their pre numbers. Basically, the Switch is selling well. It's not. Basically what we expected. It's not quite selling Wii numbers, but it's like close. Like for every 10 Wiis being sold during the height of the Wii's selling power, they're selling like 8 Switches, which is still pretty damn good. I mean, that's nothing to be ashamed of.
And it's now sold around the same number of units as the N64.
Yeah, but that's not really. The N64 was a great console, but it wasn't one of Nintendo's highest selling consoles. And also the 3DS is continued to stagnate in sales. So much so that aside from like 2 games coming out this year for it, the Kirby game and
Persona
Q2, there's like nothing coming out for it. I think we can safely assume that whatever the 3DS's successor is going to be, it's probably going to be announced next year.
And Nintendo also said that there will be no new first-party titles announced for the 3DS this year.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that just means that, like I said, if there is a 3DS successor, it will probably be announced next year or maybe the end of this year, maybe the beginning of next year and come out next year. And probably whatever projects they had that first-party games that they were working on for the 3DS, from maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, maybe those are being moved over to the next handheld. So, it is what it is. I know some people are really wedded to the idea of Nintendo still keep holding on to, but 10 years is a pretty good run.
Yeah.
I love the Game Boy, but if they had never moved up from the Game Boy, I'd be like, okay, come on, what the fuck, man? So, eventually shit had to change. And like I said,
there's also reports that Retro Studios is hiring new employees for Metroid Prime 4's development, meaning they barely started.
That could be the case. They could be in like the second phase of development, because I refuse to believe that Nintendo would let a project get that far until they have to start from scratch. I personally think maybe they knew that Metroid Prime 4 was fucked up last year, which is why we didn't see any footage for it. And I think they restarted that shit last year, but they finally told us this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I think. Because, that just makes sense, like, business-wise, and how Nintendo does business. They tend to be a little bit more of a straight shooter with shit like that. Like, you're fucking up. Okay, you're fucking up. Because that's money, right? That's money that could be put towards a viable product that's being, flushed down the toilet for some bullshit. So that's my own personal opinion.
I just feel that Metroid Prime 4 won't be ready for launch until like 2021 or 2022 because one of the developers stated that it takes about 3 years for Retro Studios to fully finish a Metroid Prime title.
So we're looking at 2020 at the earliest, 2021 at the latest. So basically either next year or the year before, the year after, which is okay. Or no, we're looking at 2020 at the earliest, 2021 at the latest. I mean, that's okay. Especially if they started last year, they worked through this year, and then it comes out next year or the year after. So that's 2.5, 3 years. That's on point. I mean, there's so many. Like, here's the thing. Okay, if the only console you have to play on is the Switch, there's a lot of games to play on the Switch. If you have other consoles to play, there's so much shit to play. There's no excuse for someone saying, "Oh, well, I can't." I can't play this. Like, there's no excuse for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and before anyone says, "Well, what are you talking about?" Look, I'm a huge Metroid Prime fan myself. Okay, I really want Metroid Prime 4 to come out, but I also want it to be good. I think that's why Metroid Prime 4 under Namco was probably going to be shit because they probably were rushing to get it out. And, you were dealing with people who had never made a Metroid Prime before and probably didn't give a shit about because Metroid Prime has a very distinct feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And why would you get someone who had not worked on that on that before to work on it again? It seems like that was a fuck up from the start on Nintendo's part.
Probably because Retro Studios was busy working on that mysterious project that they had to put on hold.
But even then, that's just kind of a fuck up from the start. It's kind of like this, okay? If you have a restaurant, right, and you have a chef who has a signature dish that only they know how to make, and their staff that only knows how to make, and yet you're going to say, okay, well, they're starting a new restaurant, and we have the people here who are part of the staff who know how to make that dish, but fuck that, we're going to get some new people who've never worked with that particular recipe or those ingredients before, and then that surprise when it comes out is not what it should be. That's on you as the person who made that decision. That's not the staff's fault. That's on you. So it's not Namco Bandai's fault. It's Nintendo's fault for letting it go to that point. So I mean, I know some people would be like, "How could you say?" Come on, But I mean, it's a good thing that they basically. But I will admit this much: Nintendo got out in front of it and said, "Look, we fucked up. We got the wrong people. We're restarting it from the ground up with the right people. Just give us some time." Because, like I said, I would rather have a good Metroid Prime than a shitty one. Yeah, I mean, I can wait for a good,
Yeah.
It's like some types of foods take time to cook, like stew. Stew is something that takes a long time to cook, right? Like you can't rush that shit. You got to take time to cook it right.
And when it's messed up, it's best to start over than to go on cooking with it.
Yeah. So at this point, it's like I would rather them take their time and make a good Metroid Prime 4 than to rush through some shit and us get some shit. Because Namco Bandai doesn't have
they don't have the record.
Yeah, their games are 50-50. Like half the time Namco Bandai will make a game and it's like, "Oh, this game's pretty good." And then half the time they'll make a game and it's like, "This game is trash." And it's like they can't find that balance of making like a string of solid games. It's very hit or miss. Like their anime licensed games, most of those are trash. They're shitty cash-ins. And then like their original titles, sometimes those will be good, but a lot of times those are, mediocre. Yeah. So it's, I'm not like, "Oh my God, this is like the best shit ever." I'm like,
it's a good one.
They're
not
okay.
bad, but it's good. Right?
Yeah. But it is what it is. Your thoughts on it, Jewel?
I'm happy that they made the change up from who's making Metroid Prime 4. I just hope that they don't screw it up. But also, it shows that they have a lot a lot of courage trying to say to the people that we messed up and we're trying to start over again, unlike other people.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather them just be honest and say we fucked up than some other companies that
someone like EA, they try to use weasel words.
Or we fucked up, but we're not gonna put the people who actually fucked it up in the hot seat. No, we're gonna fire people who had nothing to do with it in order to make it look like we made money when we actually lost money. Like, that's the EA. I mean, Nintendo's like, yeah, we fucked up. We know we fucked up. We're sorry we fucked up. We're gonna fix it.
I mean, these are the same people that took a pay cut in order to save their workers.
Yeah.
So they got some spine behind them.
So, instead of scapegoating people who had nothing to do with it, which, for me, that's the difference between Japanese and Eastern and Western, Japanese business culture. And like, when something fails, it falls on the leadership and not the workers. And whereas, here in the West, it's like when something happens, when something fails, it's always the workers' fault. Not the people higher up. No. They had nothing to do with it. It's the workers. It's like, well, you're the one who came up with this shitty fucking plan that didn't work.
Yeah. Instead, the guys at the top get some shields, and the people at the bottom, well, they take direct damage.
Yeah. They say, well, fuck you. It's on you. Well, how's it on me? Well. You're on your own. But I'm just giving my general thoughts. Anyone else have anything they want to say about it?
No.
All right. Okay, then. So any other things people want to say about Nintendo or before we move on to Sony?
Well, surprising absolutely no one. Nintendo is going to be holding a digital E3 event this year.
Yeah, to absolutely no one's surprise. And if you are surprised by them holding a digital event, what rock have you been hiding under, first of all? And second of all,
I was going to say, these are the same people that cried that the 3DS is still going.
I've got a pet rock to sell you.
What Dan cares about is which of their first party titles that their floor is gonna be themed to this time, because we had a Breath of the Wild themed showroom,
and then Splatoon 2, and then
Mario
Odyssey and Mario Kart and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. Probably Yoshi. No, that Yoshi game already came out. I don't know. I don't know what big game could be coming out this year for Nintendo.
I was going to say they might.
I would have said Metroid Prime 4, but
that game got delayed. So you've got either Luigi's Mansion 3, Pokemon Sword and Shield, or Animal Crossing.
It's probably going to be Pokemon. It's probably going to be split between Pokemon and Animal Crossing, because Luigi's Mansion is very niche. Like, that's never been like a big, like, oh my god, this game's really, like, that's a very niche title. It's not, it doesn't have that mass market appeal like some other games, so that Nintendo might have. But Animal Crossing is huge. There's a huge following for that, and Pokemon is huge. So yeah, it'll probably be Pokemon and Animal Crossing.
But then there's Super Mario Maker 2, which comes out a month, like weeks after E3 is over.
Yeah, but that's still kind of a niche title. Like, that's, like, the people who like it, but it never hit like a huge percentage of the gaming population. So I just don't, I don't see that as being like this.
That's because of the Wii U's small install base.
Yeah, but it also hit the 3DS, which had a much larger install base, and it still didn't sell like okay. Mario Maker
sold, but it didn't sell like a meteor.
It's sold, but it didn't sell like even a traditional 2D Mario game. So I mean, it's a little too niche.
That's what I was thinking. That promotion. That's too
at E3.
That's too small of a target, right?
Yeah, it's too niche. It's like if Blizzard did an event and the only thing they had at the event was Lost Vikings. Now, I love Lost Vikings. It's one of my favorite games. But when you think about Blizzard and their big titles that they've come out with over the years, Like, you wouldn't think they devote an entire fucking 3-hour event to just Lost Vikings. You get what I'm saying?
They have Warcraft. They got Hearthstone.
They got Overwatch.
Heroes.
They got Hearthstone. They got World of Warcraft. They got StarCraft. Like, there's bigger shit that they could be advertising. And that's the thing about Mario Maker. I know people love Mario Maker, and I'm not taking that away from people who love it. But Mario Maker is like it's like if Nintendo said, "Hey, we're gonna have Mario's Picross. That's gonna be our floor." It's like no one gives a shit about Mario. Like, I'm sure there are people who like Mario's Picross, but like no one's like, "Oh yeah."
That's not a big title.
That would be like Nintendo. That would be like what Blizzard did when they were like, "Yeah, we're doing Diablo the mobile game." It's like no one gives a shit about this shit,
Yeah.
Mario Maker isn't that bad, but it's like it's like if Nintendo had a digital event for a mobile game, which is where I draw the line. I'm like, look, don't waste people time with this shit.
I hate to say this, but they did it with Pocket Camp. Remember?
No, I don't. That tells you how much I must have erased that memory from my mind because I was like, this is some bullshit, probably. But by and large, no one wants to see that. I don't think. I'm sure. The people who are like ultra Mario Maker fans might be, oh my god, but Mario Maker isn't as big of an IP as those people might want you to believe. So I just don't see. I don't see them doing that. I'm not saying it won't be there. It'll probably be like a few systems playing it, but it's not going to be like, oh my god, this is the best shit ever.
That I can understand.
And just me personally, I'm not the biggest Mario Maker fan anyway, but I know some people love it. So,
Yeah,
if you love it, God bless you. But me, it just doesn't really resonate with me as a gamer. So, but anyone else have anything else they want to add about Nintendo? Or we move on?
Just that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has sold 13 million units.
Okay, that's cool. Okay then. So let's see what else.
Move on to.
I guess we can move on to Sony since Sony's been fucking up lately. They can't help themselves. They're special. So Sony's been fucking up as I just iterated. And there's been some major fucking up too. Basically, they've been very selective in how they choose to apply their internal censorship rulings. Which I'm like, why are you so hung up on censorship now? Like, you weren't hung up on censorship when you had people when the PS4 first launched who were fucking streaming live action porno flicks using the PS4i. So why do you give a shit now about what type of content is on the PS4? That's kind of weird to me. But hey, what do I know? I'm just some guy. So
we've already discussed this in a mini podcast a few days ago, didn't we?
Yeah, but it bears repeating because it seems weird,
One of our contributors thinks that due to the 2020 Japanese Olympics, they're trying to sweep away all the
mistakes. Look, you're never going to get rid of.
Just to impress the foreigners that are coming in for the
event.
Really?
You're never going to get rid of all that stuff in Japan. I'm sorry. And that doesn't, and Sony's more of a Western country these days, a Western company anyway these days.
Yeah.
So that's not really a valid, I don't think. I personally think that, I'm just going to give you my opinion. I think that what Sony's doing is they're trying to make the PS4 more palatable for families because the sales are stagnating for the system. And they want it to continue to sell. before they announced the PS5. That's what this is.
This is where I'm going to have to say that they really sunk their own ship in a sense, because seriously, they not only inflated their numbers, I bet you, but they also got the image that they think they're the king.
Well, technically they are.
Technically, because they got inflated numbers, and until we see the real numbers, I ain't buying.
The reason I say technically is because every single console gen Sony has sold over 100 million units. Every single one. Now, I love Nintendo, but like their first console gen with Gen 5, they sold over 100 million PS1s. Gen 2, they sold over 150 million PS2s. I think,
as I said, inflated, because I bet you that some of those are.
No, these aren't inflated with the PS2 or the PS1. These are the base numbers of how much they sold of that shit. Over 150. It's the highest selling home console in history. And
okay, the PS3 onward, I would say that.
I don't listen. Okay, I'm not a Sony fanboy, but I'm not gonna piss on their accomplishments. The PS3 is where they started inflating numbers and combining shit. Where I'm like,
on the PS1 and 2, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's the PS3 onward is where I say they didn't earn that beeping title.
Yeah, the PS2, they claim that they sold over 100 million units. I don't believe it. I would say that the sales numbers were probably around 80, because a lot of those were people who were replacing their systems or upgrading or downgrading or whatever. So it was like people trading in shit to get new shit. And to me, I mean, technically it's a sale, but not really, because it's not like that person has two systems. It's like they're exchanging them kind of with a service charge essentially. And then you get the PS4, which has had some really inflated sales numbers, because like here's the thing. When a company has successful sales numbers, they don't start doing things like this. Like, oh, we need to make our console more palatable to the family. Like, because everyone who wants a PS4 has a PS4. You know what I mean?
Yeah. and that's
those family only use it for like streaming
or about games.
I won't say only, but it's like generally speaking, people who own a PS4 primarily maybe have 3 or 4 games for it, and the rest of the time they use it for streaming. Like, I'm watching this, I'm watching that, I'm doing this. Like my Wii U, which I have, which for the longest time, like, yeah, I'd play games on my Wii U, but I'd also use it for Netflix, because it was really useful to just basically take the gamepad and plug that shit into my wall and use streaming, and I could just stream directly to my gamepad and watch Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime or whatever. Really convenient. But I also had a ton of games on my Wii U. I don't know why I say use past tense. I still have my Wii U. But I mean, you get what I'm saying. But like,
same here.
PS4 people are a little bit different. They're like, okay, well, I'm going to, like, they might have 4 or 5 games for the thing, and then maybe a few downloadable like indie titles, but the rest of it's like a lot of streaming. So, I mean, I think that's where Sony wants to make it more appealing to those people, because they've got what they consider to be the core gamers, but they want to get the family. What they don't realize is that the people who have a family who wanted a streaming console already got the PS4. So, like, these restrictions they're going with are just like pissing off their publishers. I mean, they're the developers who want to, who've entirely spent too much time and energy blowing Sony anyway, for lack of a better term. We're showing you.
So I don't know if their censorship policy is only affecting the Japanese developers.
From what I've seen,
Western developers are left untouched.
Yeah, so I mean, like, here's the thing. I have nothing against censorship policy, but it's like they're picking and choosing who they want to go.
It has to be done correctly in order to be reasonable, and it's not easy.
I just think they're being kind of dicks about it, personally. And I mean, like, I've never, like, here's the thing, like, it's Sony Japan that's doing it, and I'm like, what are you trying to
What are you trying to do? Ruin your rep or something?
I'm just trying to see. I'm trying to figure out what they're trying to accomplish with it. And the only thing I can think of is that they're trying. Because here's the thing: they're losing Japan. Japan is a market that they're losing. So maybe they're trying to make the Japanese market grow. But the thing is like Sony. Like it's like they can't really compete in the Japanese market because right now the Switch has the form factor that's really the Switch is like it's a home console and a mobile and a handheld, which appeals to the Japanese for people who want a home console. It's a small form factor, so people in those little tiny fucking apartments and rooms and houses can have enough room for their console. But it also is a handheld because you can travel around with it. Although the battery life for it, unless you buy the extra battery, is really shitty. Because I downloaded Steambot Quest Hand of Gilgamesh Thursday or Friday or whatever. I downloaded it and I was literally I got to the movies and I played that shit for like 30-40 minutes while I was waiting for the movie to start. And my battery went down from 100% to 83 after 30-40 minutes of gameplay. Like, this is a fucking shitty battery. Now, and before anyone says, well, you didn't know the battery, look, I primarily use my Switch as a home console, so I don't really take it out of its dock very often, if at all. So,
yeah, this is the reason why I keep on telling people that this is a home console, not a beeping handheld.
Well, it's a portable home console, but the portability isn't. How can I put this nicely?
Long lasting.
It's not the best portable. It's not the best handheld because the important thing with the handheld is that the battery life has to be good. It's the reason why the Game Boy, despite on a technical level being shittier than its competitors, it wasn't backlit. The screen was serviceable, but it wasn't great. Despite all of its negatives, it still was the king because the shit had amazing battery life. Like you could if you had some fresh AA batteries, 4 fresh AA batteries, you could fucking play your Game Boy for 18 hours straight. If you were playing a game that wasn't like really resource intensive. So like Tetris or Wario Land or something like that. It's amazing. Yeah. You couldn't do that shit with a Game Gear or a Lynx. you were fucked if you tried to play 18 hours with a Lynx or a Nomad. Forget about that shit.
I was about to say, seriously, Nomad? Who the heck? Yeah. I was remembering because that's the only game system that could play the full system games on the go, but oh god, it would Dracula your batteries.
Yeah. The only handheld that kind of gave the Game Boy a run for its money was the Wonder Swan, and that's because the Wonder Swan was developed by Gunpei Yokoi, the same guy who created the Game Boy. So yeah, it was the only, and the Wonder Swan is a pretty damn good little handheld. In some ways, it's better than a Game Boy. It's got better processing power. It's in black and white, the basic one. You can get a Wonder Swan color that's in color. But the cool thing about the Wonder Swan was that it had reverse control. So like if you held it one way, you could use it right-handed. If you held it the other way, you use it left-handed. And there were some games that were 2-player where you could hold the shit, one person holding one side, another person holding the other side, and play the games. And so the Wonder Swan was pretty revolutionary for its time. It's a damn shame Gunpei Yokoi wasn't able to do like a Wonder Swan 2 or 3 because I think he could have really pulled it off, but whatever.
Which I have to agree on because if anything, it was basically something that was invented by somebody that was great.
Yeah. So with all that being said, before anyone says, "Well, you're just a Nintendo fanboy," no. I want competition in the handheld market.
Yeah, this is where something I say comes into mind. I want competition. I want competent competition, meaning they have to be fair and they have to be working to try to be the competition.
I mean, I want competition, but I don't want bad competition. I want competition that is equitable and you know, like everyone's has a, you know, a general, not everyone's going to be equal, but as equal as possible within reason of each other, so that it depends on what your skills and abilities are and your talents. Unfortunately, we're never going to get there in the market, because we're always going to have your Sonys and your Microsofts that just pay off shit and don't give a fuck. But with that being said, let's move on to Microsoft news. There is no Microsoft news.
That's what I'm gonna ask. Is there any Microsoft news?
Japan?
Not a damn thing. There's nothing going on. They've been quiet. They've been like a rat pissing on a cotton, and that's a quiet sound. Okay. So I guess we can move on to the third-party news. Well, EA's been fucking up again, because
what did they do this time?
It's EA.
Anthem again.
Yeah.
Oh God, not again.
Well, I mean, we already talked. We already touched on this earlier this week, where essentially, like, a lot of the update content has been scrapped. BioWare fucked. EA's gonna. I guarantee you, within the year, within the next 6 or 7 months, EA's gonna start dropping people from BioWare and selling off stuff, and keep the IPs but shutter the studio, or like make it a studio in name only, because Anthem didn't do what they wanted it to do. Even though, like, you know, it's like I said with Namco Bandai, like, BioWare is known for doing one thing really well: making Western RPGs with deep, sort of complex stories, okay gameplay, but deep, complex stories and okay gameplay. Why would you take someone who's known for that and then make them do something else, and then act surprised that something else they did sucks because they aren't really talented at it? It's not their wheelhouse. It's not what they're good at.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird, you know? I can't believe if this is shit. No, I can totally believe it's shit. It makes perfect sense that it would be shit. But that's what we're dealing with. Then we have, let's see, who else? Not Activision, but 2K. Apparently there's some shady shit been going on with the Red Dead Redemption 2.
Involving the overworked employees.
Yeah, the overworked employees and the crunch time. And then NetherRealm's been doing the same thing with, like, crunch time, with employees working 100 hours a week to finish Mortal Kombat 11, which,
seriously,
I mean, I'm gonna keep it real. It's not even, like, the game is good. It's not that good. Like, there is no reason for, like, okay, there's certain games where I can understand people wanting to get it done right, but for this, like, Mortal Kombat 11, come on, man. Not worth it.
As I said, why do people think? I mean, why do these guys keep on burning their crew?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is why you have such a huge problem in the video games industry, where the veterans are leaving studios. And so you basically, like, haven't you noticed that a lot of games, I mean, not Nintendo, but like in the Western gaming industry, that a lot of games that are part of franchises, the earlier franchises are really good. But then we have a staff changeover where the veterans leave and new people come in. Because the veterans aren't there to guide the new people and nurture them, the new games are worse in quality because you have less talented people working on it. That's basically what's been happening, and they're burning out their talented people. So, I mean, you know, the industry has a major problem in how they treat their staff, and it's not going to change. It is not going to change. It should change, but it's not going to.
That's the sad thing.
Yeah. Oh, well. Let's see, what else? Let's see, we did EA, we did Activision. Let me see what else we can cover before we get to some of the other stuff. Let me look it up. Kindly look it up in the thing. Okay, so we covered third-party news, publisher news. I guess we can give our non-spoiler review of thoughts on Endgame. So who wants to go first?
Considering I just recently saw it, I'm tempted to go last to try to evade the spoiler area.
All right. So Pinky, you can go first.
All I have to say is, well, it was a very satisfying conclusion to the Infinity Saga.
Yeah, I agree. So I guess I'll go second. The film is pretty damn good. Just like in terms of just the film itself and how it essentially was. How's it going, Kenoshi?
Hey, what's up?
It's going. We're giving our non-spoiler thoughts on Avengers Endgame. Basically, the film is just on a, story-wise, it really is the culmination of a lot of different storylines, and it ties up a lot of loose ends in a way that doesn't feel forced or unearned. Every single tied-up loose end is earned in this film. That being said, taking a step back from the story, and this is not a spoiler, Endgame is a testament on what a well-run cinematic universe is capable of doing, and not when some shit's just thrown together just because.
In short, DC versus Marvel.
Like certain people. DC. Sorry.
Definitely in his throat, people.
This pollen is spraying. The pollen just got in my throat. But yeah, DC. This film is a testament on what you can do when shit's planned out, step by step, and not just we're just gonna throw some shit against the wall and hope it sticks. And also when you have characters who, by and large, yes, there are changes made in order to make them fit into a cinematic universe, but they're generally more or less true to their comic book source material. More or less, or at least an iteration of those characters. It's amazing what you can do when you have people actually give a fuck about the source material and not just my vision. Fuck your vision. That's what I think about your vision. So with that being said, yeah, it was a good movie. If you want to see a satisfying conclusion to one of the longest running, most iterative cinematic universes we've seen, this is it.
Just try not to think too much on certain aspects of the story.
Yeah, because you have to let some things go, but overall, it's pretty damn good. Kenoshi, if you've seen it, you can give your non-spoiler end thoughts. If you haven't, you don't have to say anything, and then we'll go to Joel. What?
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so yeah.
Okay, then we'll go past you. We'll pass you by, and which is unusual because Passover was just a few months ago. I mean, a few days ago. Go ahead, Joel.
There was a lot of good closers, a lot of bittersweets, and one of the best punches I ever seen was thrown.
Okay.
It was a ride, and I enjoyed every bit of it.
Yes, it was very good. So that being said, that's the end of not the end of the podcast, but the end of our Avengers Endgame thoughts. So I guess we can move on to free topic because we got time. So this is just me spitballing here, but I recently downloaded via the power of the internets and Nintendo's online. I downloaded the new Steam Bike game, and I gotta say it's pretty damn good.
I thought it would be Steam World, but
yeah, the new Steam, the new Steam World game, Steam World Quest, which is here. Let me look it up because I don't want to get it wrong. Because I can do that because I'm human, and sometimes I make mistakes. Unfortunately, I'm only human, and sometimes I make mistakes. Here, let me look it up. I'm turning it on right now. Steam World Quest: Hand of Gilgamesh. So while I have been less than enthused about some of Nintendo's core games, that they've come out with, my God, their indie scene is really, really good. SteamWorld Quest is kind of like Bacon Kato's 1 and 2, but made by not Japanese developers. So
let me guess, is the church involved in the game's story?
No, but there's a cult that's kind of like a church. And they're no. When I say it's like that, it's the gameplay is because you basically each character has a deck of cards, and they can essentially level up and shit like that. So, in that regard, it's like each character has a deck, and you actually have to be good at building decks.
Deck building.
Deck building.
If that's true, then that means, oh god, boo. That means I'm gonna be really in for it if I go into a game because I'm a card gamer.
Yeah, it really kind of
test your deck building skills.
Yeah, it does test your deck building skills. You're gonna want to build a deck. You're gonna want to make those decks better. It's you're gonna want to grind on enemies so that they'll drop material so that you can make better cards so that you can make your decks.
I was going to ask, how do you acquire the cards?
Some you find in treasure chests, others you create, some you get for doing side quests. It's some pretty heady stuff. It's not.
In that case, oh God, the deck builder in me is gonna be loving and hating it at the same time.
Yeah, it's pretty good though. It's your standard RPG, but it is not your standard. It's your standard RPG, and yet it's not your standard RPG because there's other shit going on in the game. And I'm only in the beginning of the game. Like I thought there were only like a few characters in this game, but there's actually a lot more than who you might think. There's a lot of playable characters in this game, so I'm quite happy about it. But overall, yeah, I really like this title. I think that it's pretty damn good. It's and I knew it was going to be good because like I haven't played a Steambot Chronicle game that's been shit. Yeah, they're all pretty good. Okay, except for maybe the first one, but that was like basically a tower defense game, and like tower defense games are very hit or miss for a lot of people, but this one's pretty damn good. So, Kenoshi, you have anything you wanna add?
Not particularly. No. What was the question?
No, we're in free topic. So anything you want to talk about that we haven't covered? We covered Nintendo's financials. We covered Sony fucking up with their censorship policies for no apparent reason. They're very arbitrary. And then
Microsoft barely sold anything.
No, well, Microsoft has been quiet. Microsoft's been like a rat pissing on cotton. So quiet, not saying a fucking word. So we don't know what they've been doing.
Yeah, I was gonna say that if anything, they're just keeping it in the background.
They're keeping it quiet, They're
yeah,
like a dude running around on his girlfriend, just trying to, just keeping it quiet. You're running around on his girlfriend with your best friend, just keeping it quiet, keeping it on the down low, not telling anybody. And her best friend happens to be a dude, which makes it even more weird.
I know, apparently, Mortal Kombat 11's going through some issues. Some issues.
Yeah, we've been discussing this like a few days ago.
Yeah, the stuff is really grindy, from what I've heard. Like, really grindy.
Of course, the gamers weren't focused on it. Instead, they focused more on the female characters not being sexualized enough.
Yeah, because that's the problem.
Followed by Jax's arcade ending.
I'm just saying, like, that's the problem they chose to which I mean, I said earlier this week when we had our podcast, I said, I've never in my life, like, the Mortal Kombat female characters have never been really attractive. I'm sorry, they've never been like, oh my god, this is the epitome of beauty. Like I've never been like, yeah, this flat ass chick is the best.
Haven't they always been kind of ugly? And isn't it kind of the point? Sort of this like mixture between attractive and ugly.
I mean, they just weren't attractive. I mean, you know, like I said, I mean, unless a flat ass chick is really important to you, or a dude like Raiden looked like, you know, your uncle cosplaying, like in the original. Like, yeah. I mean, these were not good-looking people. You know? Like if you want to play a game that has good-looking characters in it, go play Street Fighter or Darkstalkers.
Yeah.
Because those are good-looking people.
What about female characters in Tekken and DOA? They have realistic character proportions.
Yeah, but I'm talking in terms of like when, like at the time, there wasn't a Tekken or DOA during the 4th gen when Mortal Kombat came out. Those games didn't exist. Like all the fighters were 2D, so that's what I'm comparing it to. I'm like, okay, if it's a 2D game, then this is what it has to be. And I know some people are going to get upset when they hear that, but I don't really give a shit. So yeah, that's my own little personal opinion. I know some people are going to get angry when they hear that, but like I said, I don't care. Yeah, I never thought those characters were good looking, and I stand by that statement. I don't care what anyone says. They were never good looking. They were never attractive. Like I said, if you wanted attractive characters in a video game, like female characters, like in a fighting game, at that time you had to go with either SNK or Street Fighter or whatever. Like you did not have good looking characters in other games at the time.
Also, MK related, there's been some complaints about the Switch version of MK11 being a graphical downgrade compared to other versions.
Well, come on, man. I mean, surely no one thought that game was going to be comparable to what you had on the PC for the Xbox One.
I was going to say, people are expecting frame rate that is high quality gameplay.
I mean, I'll keep it real. I would rather have a graphical downgrade and a steady frame rate, which, I mean, there is a problem with the game where the frame rate is kind of like shitty.
Iffy?
No, it's shitty. The frame rate drops down. And
I was trying to be nice.
In a fighting game, it is not good when your frame rate is dropping like that. That's not.
Yeah. You know, back in the old days, usually they would just use a different graphical style for something like this, but you know, nothing.
I mean, personally, I would rather play a Mortal Kombat game on the Switch that has a shittier, that has a lower graphical quality, and yet has a stable frame rate than something that has a better graphics and a shitty frame rate. In this case, Mortal Kombat 11 on the Switch, I mean, it plays fine, but the frame rate drops just like atrociously in certain places. And for me, I don't like that. Like because a fighting game needs to have a stable frame rate.
Yeah.
Like more so than almost any other genre, a fighting game needs to have a stable frame rate. And I know some people are going to be like, but I like whatever it's called. I like the game. You can like it. I'm not disavowing your like of something. I'm saying that it should, like, you shouldn't have to deal with that when you're playing a game, is what I'm saying. Like, you shouldn't have to deal with that. But that's just me. I know some people are going to get upset when they hear that because people don't like hearing these things, but especially not with a fighting game. Like there's some games like an RPG, you don't really need a stable frame rate because most of the time you're going to be like have more tactical type battles where it doesn't really matter, you know, how steady the frame rate is. But a fighting game, it's like you need to know what's going on. Shit needs to be measured. But it is what it is. So,
whose turn is it now for a free topic?
Yeah. Anything anyone want to bring up?
I guess it's my turn now. Well, I've recently finished Detective Pikachu in preparation for the upcoming movie. And so rewatching the first two trailers, I've noticed some elements of the movie that are also present in the game.
And what would that be?
Let's see. I noticed that there are several key Pokemon in the movie that play key important roles in the game, such as Snubbull, and Apom, and Gengar, and Charizard, and of course Mewtwo.
Yeah, I see Mewtwo pops up in the trailer, and I'm like, oh shit, who fucked up? Because typically speaking, Mewtwo is not good news. Like, I've never watched a Pokemon movie and said, hey, Mewtwo showed up. Oh, joy. It's like, oh, shit.
In the game, Mewtwo shares in a very important role in the story. If you don't want to get spoiled, how's he?
No, I'm okay. I really don't care. I was making a generalized statement.
Okay. So basically, the main villain group of the game story is like the equivalent of Shadowloop, where they're basically a drug dealing company where they sell drugs to Pokemon that causes them to go berserk, and they are using them to take over the world.
So they're basically like Team Rocket from Gold and Silver. Except
and how they created these drugs, they were using Mewtwo's genes.
Oh, they fucked up right there.
Oh, okay. The moment you use Mewtwo for something, there's going to be beep going down.
Of course, Mewtwo himself is not happy about how they're using his cells for their evil doing. So he requested Detective Pikachu to stop them, only for him to get amnesia.
Of course, of course, he got amnesia. Why would he keep his memory? Why would he do that?
Overload.
That's such a trope in movies.
Yeah, and in the movies, Detective Pikachu also has amnesia.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that.
And the plot for both the game and the movie involves the boy and Detective Pikachu searching for his father, who was also involved with the drugs incidents.
Yeah, the guy who plays the young boy in this film is the guy who was the annoying black sidekick in Jurassic World 2. So, I mean, if you can forgive him for that, this might be a good movie. Keyword might. For me, it's the first Pokemon movie I've been excited for in a long time. But then again, I don't really like the Pokemon movie, so.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
The only Pokemons that are new, that are specific for the movie, were Mr. Mime, Jigglypuff, Psyduck, and Greninja.
Yeah, I think there's a Psyduck in this thing that's just kind of like a little weird. But Psyduck's always been kind of weird, even in the cartoon's been weird.
I consider Mr. Mime the weird one. I mean, seriously.
Mr. Mime looks like he looks like initially he's supposed to be a joke character, but then he does some shit where it's like, oh, he's actually kind of cool.
I facepalmed looking at him
and it gained a fairy typing. So I didn't know that mimes are also fairies.
No, I think they just kind of did that because last time I checked, Mr. Mime is
pure psychic.
Yeah, pure psychic type, but
yeah, and given that character a fairy type, that was just WTF.
And of course, they had to add in Jigglypuff because people remember her from the anime, as well as the Smash Bros. Melee tournaments from her Hungry Box.
Yeah, how she just sings and then gets mad because people fall asleep because her whole singing ability makes people fall asleep. She gets pissed off about it. It's kind of weird.
She even has the same mic.
Yeah.
Oh, and I also mentioned that Eevee is another Pokemon who is going to be in this movie instead of the game.
I'm okay with that because I didn't get the game, so I was like, "Yeah, this looks interesting," but I don't care enough. Like I said, I'm moving away from being as more of a core Pokemon fan as I used to be. So
now as for Charizard, he's very important in both the games and the movie. However, their roles are different. His role is different in both of them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because in the movie, he's part of the Pokemon cage fighting scene. And in the games, he was one of the first victims of the drug made from Mewtwo's genes.
Understandable. So, anyone else have? Oh, I got some news. I actually, there was a game announced that finally broke the camel's back for the Epic Game Store for me, where I'm finally gonna have to actually give them my money.
What's that?
A game called Rogue Galaxy. Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, which is Rebel Galaxy is this game where like you're basically in space going from point A to point B, fighting pirates and stuff on a ship. And like it's one of my favorite titles from a few years ago. It came out in 2014. And this game is basically kind of like really kind of channeling that, but now instead of you having these massive ships you're traveling on and releasing broadsides and shit like that, you're actually in a starfighter doing this kind of cool shit. So it changes up the dynamic enough, and it's a prequel to the original game, so that's kind of cool. And I'm just like, okay, this is the game that broke it for me. It wasn't anything else. It was just that one thing basically broke it for me, which is kind of sad because I really did not want to,
play on Epic, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to give them money, but
this is the reason why I stand firm with what I believe in and try not to even try to hold my ground against anything that goes against it, because giving way to what you don't want is just asking them to, get ready to be kicked in the gemstones.
I understand that, but here's the thing.
I kept away from mostly all EA things, and the only time I ever found out that I accidentally involved myself with EA, I actually facepalmed myself, and it was for a mobile game.
No, I understand that, but the thing is that like I really
8 years old.
This is a game that I've been really looking forward to. And like a whole lot I've been looking forward to this game, and now I finally get it, and I've been really looking forward to this game, and I'm finally getting it.
Yeah, and this is coming from somebody that kept on saying don't support Epic and all that.
Yeah, I was one of those people.
Yeah, I'm going to have to face palm about it.
And normally, like I said, I would totally be doing this, but
Isn't Rogue Galaxy the MMO or whatever that was?
No, Rogue Galaxy is not an MMO. It's something else. It's Rebel Galaxy. No, it's not an MMO. No, I would never do that for an MMO. This is a $30 game from a group of old school developers who essentially released a nice little niche title that is a genre that's underutilized. And I was like, and I got it on PC, and I want to get it again because I'm crazy like that, son. But yeah, that was the part where I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to break my vow. Oh well. It's not like I'm making a stand against racism or anything.
Yeah, that's the thing about games. There's always one thing. It's like, well, I can't hold back anymore. Gotta,
And it's not like I've given up on other things. I mean, hell, I still haven't bought a PS4. Fuck Sony. Like Hell Hydra, fuck Sony. That's in order to be on this podcast, that's the code word. Word up, no, fuck that. Fuck Sony.
Nice call out.
But yeah, I'm not the biggest Sony fan, as anyone can tell you. But yeah, it like I said, I wish it was better. I wish I would have loved to not do it, but they forced my hand with this because I really like, this is a game I've been really looking forward to. Like, I was gonna pre-order this game on Steam, but it's gonna be an Epic Store exclusive, so
you should. Yeah, if Epic Store is, exclusives can bring somebody to go somewhere, but this is where I say, remember the policies of where you're going before you make that purchase.
Yeah, I know they're fucked up, but I really want to play this game, and I don't feel like waiting like 6 or 7 months. Like, I can wait for Borderlands.
Yeah, you should.
I don't really give a shit about Borderlands because I don't mind waiting for Borderlands to come out. I don't mind waiting to get my hands on some other games, but I really am looking forward to this one game, and I've been, like.
Hello, Mr. Contradiction.
There's other games where that happens. Like, I really wanted Guacamelee 2, and yet when Guacamelee 2 came out, it was initially only on PC and the PS4, even though like Nintendo's like, yeah, this is gonna be our game, yeah, it's gonna be for us, and like, I didn't get it on PC. I didn't get it on the PS4 because I own a PS4. I waited till it came out on PC and got it there. And then I also got it on. Well, yeah, I also got it on the Switch. So, I mean, it's not like I'm being like, oh my god, I'm not gonna do X, Y, or Z. It's just there's certain things where.
Yeah, but if anything,
do X, Y, or Z.
It just makes me wonder how far your standards are going to stretch.
Well, I mean, get this one game, I'm gonna be good. Shit. Because there's a whole bunch of other games that are coming to the Epic Game Store that I'm not getting. So, I mean, it's not like,
Yeah, we'll see where that goes. Because if anything, I was remembering what their taunt was. And this is the Steam that they did a taunt to. If Steam goes to 88% without any strings, then we will gladly surrender our exclusivity deal and even put our games on the Steam store, which I say they're full of beep.
I mean, that's kind of a dick move, is what you're saying?
Not only that, they kind of lied because they went behind their backs on a few things, especially with their exclusivity things. Like, this is only one time that we're doing exclusives like this, and then they pull it off right behind other people's backs.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. Yes.
this happens quite a bit. I mean,
yeah.
And this isn't the first time this has happened. This has happened before. I don't want it to happen, but it has happened before. So, I mean,
and this is from the same people that treat their employees like trash. So excuse me for not buying it.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't exactly say that no other company treats their employees like trash.
True, but if anything, at least if anything, have some standards.
Fair enough. Okay then. Let's see. What else? Anyone else have anything else they want to bring up before we wrap things up?
Oh yes, there is a dinosaur named after Thanos.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. It was kind of weird, actually.
There's a what?
There's a dinosaur named after Thanos.
Oh.
And it's related. And it's related to the type of dinosaurs such as the Carnotaurus, the ones in South America.
Interesting.
The Carnotaurus is basically a theropod meat-eating dinosaur with horns on its head, and its arms are so tiny that will put T-Rex's arms to shame.
That's small.
Yeah, it practically had no arms. That's how small its arms were, which is kind of sad, really, because
because these type of dinosaurs are supposed to be like the cheetah of its time. They don't need arms. They just need speed.
That reminds me of a joke where a guy's like, "Why is the T-Rex so angry?" Because the T-Rex can't reach its junk with its hands.
You had to go there, didn't you?
I take it that's where that old I'm saying that's where that Family Guy cutaway comes from.
It's like that's why the T-Rex is angry, because it can't reach its junk with its hands. But you'd be pissed off too if you couldn't reach your junk with your hands. Anyway, okay. So speaking of jokes, I got a couple of good ones for you guys. Okay, the first one's very clean. So this guy was walking down the street from the store, and he had a bag of groceries. And he sees this truck hit this bump, and the back of the truck opens when it hits the bump, and this coffin comes out, and the coffin is on wheels, and it starts rolling after him. So the guy runs away from the coffin, drops his bag of groceries, and runs away. The coffin's chasing him, runs down some stairs. The coffin's behind him. He runs up some stairs. The coffin's behind him. Gets into his house, like frantically, takes his keys out of his pocket, opens his door, shuts the door. Coffin smashes down the door. He runs into the bathroom, opens the medicine cabinet, pulls out some cough syrup, opens the thing, takes a swig, and the coffin rolls back out of his door and goes away. The coffin stops after he takes the cough syrup.
What?
Yeah, it was a play on words. It was a play on words. Okay, here's one that's a little bit dirtier. So 2 bananas get bought for an old maid's house, and the big banana looks at the
where this is going.
The big banana looks at the little banana and says, "Too bad, they're going to eat you."
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Okay, so a guy in a full body cast stops at a house of ill repute, and the lady in the house, it's like 5 o'clock. They don't open till 7. She hears a loud knocking, boom, boom, boom. She opens the door. She's like, "What do you want?" He's like, "I knocked on the door, didn't I?" He's in a full body cast.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, here's another one. Same variation, but slightly different. A man and his wife were separated, and he really, really, really came around to her house because he was in the mood for a little bit of love, and He knocks on the door, and his wife says, "Get away from here! I know what you're knocking here for." He's like, "Yeah, but you don't know what I'm knocking with."
Wow.
Enough said.
Okay, how about this one? There was a gentleman who essentially was, he'd never been with a woman, and he was feeling a little bit peckish, if you will. So he goes to the doctor, and the doctor isn't in, but the nurse was in. And she told the nurse his problem. She said, "Well, come on in here with me in the back room, and I'll see what I can do for you." And they knock down some bottles and other things, and then he leaves, and he's quite happy. So then about a month later, he comes back to the same doctor's office, and he's like, "Well, doc, I'm feeling a little sort of way." Doc's like, "Well, I got these pills I can give you." He's like, "I'd prefer the $25 thing that the nurse gave me last time I was here."
Wow. The nurse is a prostitute, don't you get it?
No, the nurse helped him with his frustrations. Okay, okay, I got another one for you. So there was this let's see. Do I want to tell this one? Yeah, I'll tell it. Okay, so there was this guy, and he was with his date, and he took his date to the movies, and they were sitting in the drive-in theater. It's a long time ago. Drive-in theaters were still a thing. So he's sitting there with his date, and they're watching the movie, and then the car next to them starts moving and bouncing and jumping, and his date says, "What's going on over there?" He's like, "They're making sandwiches." And then they get back to watching the movie, and then the other car to their left, same thing starts happening. She's like, "What are they doing over there?" He's like, "They're making sandwiches over there too." She's like, "Well, why don't we make a few sandwiches?" So they got in the back of the seat of the car and made sandwiches. So then they get home around 11:30. They were supposed to be there by 10:30. And their dad, the young lady's father's up there, and he says, "Where the hell are you two then?" So she says, "Dad, don't get angry. We were just making sandwiches." It's like, "Oh yeah, well, I think it's so that must be mayonnaise running down your leg."
Oh, jeez.
Face palm.
Yeah. That was a little bit too far. Anyway, that's the end of the podcast. Remember, you guys can pimp out anything you want to pimp out.
Oh yeah, Days Gone came out this week, and it's gotten mixed reviews.
Yeah, I was about to say, does anyone care that game came out? Like, is anyone like, "Man, that Days Gone, no son"?
I mean, nobody expected that game to be good anyway.
Yeah, that's my point. I don't really see people giving a shit about that game. I know some people are going to be like, I know some people are going to care, but I don't think people give a shit about that game. I could be wrong, but I just don't. I don't see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of games that Sony's been touting that I just don't really see them. I don't see anyone really giving a shit about. And I know some people are going to get angry when they hear that, because people love to get angry when you say things that they don't like, but how dare you, sir? But I could be wrong. You know, maybe people do care about it. I don't know. So, anyone have anything else they want to pimp out before we wrap things up? Any movies anyone saw aside from Endgame that they're like, "Yeah, you had to watch this shit. It was fucking awesome, bro."
Well, at this moment in time.
All right. Okay. Anything else?
No.
Oh, and with me having nothing, I'll at least do something for Red Fox. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, to please rate, like, comment, and don't forget to share this video too.
That's right. That's right. Rate, comment, share, subscribe, because we got some cool shit coming in. You know, I'm going to start getting back to making videos because, you know, that's a good thing. I know some people are going to get angry when they hear that. Yeah, what do you mean? I like making videos, but sometimes it takes a little bit. So we'll see what happens. That being said, that's in the video. Rate, comment, share, subscribe. You guys didn't have anything you want to pimp out? Oh, go to Video Games Facts. It's a great place to talk with like-minded individuals about video games and general pop culture type stuff. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap things up?
Nope.
Nothing? Okay, then. So that's the end of the video. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe. And peace out, y'all.
Responsibly.